Well, it's nice to be here. I can't see any of you because of lights. So I'm just going to look at these numbers. My God, there's so many numbers. As Larry said, I became paralyzed in 2003. The problem was I was racing around the world on business, and I've had a cold, and was not very well, and I had a terrible sinus cold that I just couldn't get rid of. And I came back from Switzerland and went to work on Monday morning, and for the first time in my life, I couldn't make it through the day. So I went home and got in bed. That lasted about an hour, and then I took myself to the emergency room. And the next morning I woke up after the worst night of my life, because the pain in my back was so terrific. It was like a continual root canal. It was nerve pain, and that's the worst. And so I had this all through the night, 9 vials of morphine, and didn't do a thing. But anyway, the upper body survived from here up, and so I was pleased about that. And the first thing you think about is, when am I going to get better? I'm a very positive person, and I thought, well, this won't go on too long, a week or two. Well, here I am. And little did I know we were going to get 8 years of a president who said no stem cells. And at least that's gone. And now we've got some sanity in the White House. You will all vote, won't you? Very important. Every one of you must vote. I could say I don't care who you vote for, but I'd be lying. Now, here I am at this conference, and why am I here besides being paralyzed? I belong in the first 2 rows, I guess, but the reason I'm here is I'm not only an architect and designer, but I was also a patient. And I thought, after 8 hospitals and 4 rehab centers and a 9-hour surgery, what could I do as an architect to make life in the patient room better? So I narrowed my examination, if you will, to the patient room. I wanted to start there because that's where I'd spent my time, and it wasn't exactly third world, but it wasn't far from it. And I thought, this just can't be in this country that we put up with this. So I endeavored to do something about it. So when I got back into the office, I sort of cleared a corner of my plate and said, healthcare. And from that point on, we have taken it on in a very big way in the office. Now, what I'm going to show you, I'm going to tell you some stories and show you some pictures and end with some work that we're doing with Stryker, a wonderful company in Michigan who's building most of our in-room furniture. Now I'm pressing the screen button. Oh, there it is. I was looking at the wrong picture. I didn't do that, I promise. There you go. That's me in a rehab center, and I've just learned to put on my shoes. You can just see the knee of my therapist there on the bed. And I think that's what that is, this ugly thing. And she's saying to me, Michael, it would go a lot quicker if you just used Velcro. I'm telling her it's too ugly, I can't wear Velcro. After all, I'm going to be in California in a couple of years. Those people really have taste. The gloves are there because I was learning my manual chair, and you don't want to get blisters your first day out. So I cut the fingers out of my golf gloves, and here I am learning how to do that as well. At this point, I was being interviewed in this slide. The reason I have this slide is CBS took it for a program they were doing on me and my affliction. And they said, "Michael, what do you think of this room?" And I said, it's far too ugly for me to die here. So we got to get it right. And I said, though they do seem to be ready for anything, as there are 3 potty chairs to the other side of the room, and God knows what else. But I was told in one of these sessions that I would be able to leave the rehab center when I was able to do the following: put on my own clothes, get up one morning and put on my clothes myself without the nurse in the room, and to get into my wheelchair, to wheel myself into the bathroom, and to do all my ablutions in there, brush my teeth and shave and comb my thin hair. And so I took the challenge, of course, and stacked up all my clothes on a chair next to my bed, underwear last, so I could put it on first the next morning. And it took me about an hour to get everything on, as well as my Velcro-less sneakers. And then I got a sliding board, which I slept with during the night, like a teddy bear, and got it into the chair and slid into the chair from the sliding board. Some of you know what a sliding board is. If you don't, it's not that important. But I was in the chair and dressed and feeling very self-empowered. I was thinking, I can do this. I'm going to be home in no time. I'm getting out. And I rolled into the bathroom and looked around, and first thing I looked at was the mirror, which the bottom of the mirror started here and went up. It was obviously there for somebody standing in the bathroom. I reached for the cold water to brush my teeth, and the faucet was out of reach. I said, I'll do something else. I'll fake it today somehow and not get too close to anybody. And then I thought, well, I'll shave, and I reached for the hot water, same routine, out of reach. I thought, well, that's not too bad. I'll call my office and have them bring my electric razor, and tomorrow I can get by with one day without shaving. And then I looked to see where I would plug it in. I was learning quickly. And the switch was on the bottom of the wall, the floor. And as you see, I can't reach it. So I was hosed, and I was feeling like shit. So I wheeled myself out, and just at that moment, my doctor came on rounds. And I said, oh, just the person I want to see. You can imagine. And he said, what for? And we've got things to go over. And I said, I've got more important things. What I want you to do, like a good sport, is go out in the hall and find a wheelchair, an empty wheelchair, and roll yourself back in here. Begrudgingly, he did. And he went into I told him to do what I had done, and reminded him that I could only bend over from here. And he said he would go into the bathroom and try the faucets and the switch for razor and so on, and comb his hair. He had hair. And then he came out and he said, I can't reach the faucets and I can't see myself in the mirror. I said, when I came here, you told me that experts had designed this facility. And I said, be careful of experts, especially when they're architects, because architects are not very smart people. We're low-hanging fruit. We're not even up to engineers. All we can do is draw. So I said, you told me that you were going to build a $40 million addition to this place. Are you still going to do that? He said, yes. And I said, are you going to use the same experts? He said, yes. At that point, I suspected brother-in-law. Very tight family. And so then I said, well, you're going to have to do one of two things. Be like the hotel industry and build a model room. They never build a major hotel, and this is a major undertaking with a new $40 million. But they never build a hotel without finding a warehouse somewhere and building a model room, stocking it full of the furniture, making sure that everybody's happy and everybody can reach everything, and the room works pragmatically. And it also works aesthetically. I was going to take a picture this morning of a picture in my hotel room last night and see if you could explain it to me. It was beyond me. And I'm just so happy it's not in a hospital. You may want to get out faster. I don't know. But the nice thing about this hotel is that even the hotel had a switch on the counter in the bathroom, right on the wall, so you could plug your razor in or your hairdryer or whatever. I said, alternatively, if you don't build a model room, I doubt you're going to do that, hire a consultant architect to read the plans for you and listen to him about what he says about the bathroom and the bedrooms and the patient care as you know it. I said 99% of the people in this hospital are in wheelchairs, and you know that. And they're all suffering the same bathroom. And this is stupid. This is just stupid. You can't do this to people. And so he said he'd look into it, which of course he didn't. And the same experts built the new building with the same bathroom. Some people never learn. One of the things that my therapist, whose knee you met a minute ago, did for me was to go to my house and tell me what I needed to change to before they would let me out. First of all, I had bedrooms on the second floor, so I had already started construction on an elevator. And she did a couple of minor things, but the major thing she did was say I needed a roll-in shower. And so I said, okay, and to roll into the shower, I couldn't have a curb. Now, in the rehab facilities I'd been in all of them, and in the hospitals as well, everybody had a curb. So I needed an orderly who looked like an NFL player to lift the front wheels over first and then the back wheels of my shower chair. This is not a shower chair. You've got to get into another chair, which is primarily aluminum, so it doesn't rust, to take a shower. So I built this. I took my closet away, and that's why I don't have a tie on today, because I have no room anymore. But I built this fancy shower for me, and you see there are two shower heads. That was just wishful thinking. No. The, the horizontal drain is like an invention. It's not a central drain, it's just a horizontal drain. And everything I tell you today is going to be on the par of this kind of old folks, this kind of seat of the pants methodology. Nothing smart here, just a little bit smart aleck. But if you make a horizontal drain, the water seems to find its way to the drain and to the porosity of the drain, and doesn't somehow leap over to the other side. So we do that in all our buildings, including the hotels that we're doing. We make horizontal drains because some poor bugger in a wheelchair is going to be in one of those rooms someday and is going to want to take a shower. And someday it'll be a requirement they have shower chairs available to people who stay in the hotel, because you don't take your shower chair with you. We did a project for the wounded warriors coming back from the wars, and these are two of them, and I didn't bring this to talk about the wounded warrior projects, but they work splendidly for these guys coming back. But up in the upper right-hand corner, you can see a picture of a bathroom. And what you can't see is there is a horizontal drain right where that drape is on the floor. So we used it there. And it's one of the great things. They said that they hadn't found this any place they'd been, and to thank me for it, because now their wives or children could push them into the shower. Now here, before I talk about this old lady in her bed and her orange circles, I should tell you another shower story. I was invited to go to an opening of a hospital near where I live in Princeton, and after getting there, I rolled up to the front door, couldn't get in. There was no button for the handicapped, which is, of course, against the law, ADA. And I had to wait for somebody to come and open the door for me, which they did. And I rolled in and looked around and smiled big. And there was something they called a lobby, and I called it an atrium. It was a 4-story, glass-enclosed box that looked out to Route 1 with 4 chairs in it. 40 stories high, 40 feet high, and all glass. And I thought, do you suppose I'll convalesce in the atrium, learn to put on my clothes, do my bowel program, do all of that kind of stuff? Do you think this is the place to do that? Who's this space for? Oh, it's for the architect. He gets to take a picture of it, and then some sort of hospital news will publish it. The first picture they'll publish is the great atrium in this godforsaken hospital. So I went on to see the rest of the hospital, and the OR was pretty good. The experts had gotten that right. And maternity was good, and everything was pretty good. And I thought, why did they get the atrium wrong? And then I went into the patient room, and there I saw the inverted equation. The patient room was the smallest room in Christendom. You couldn't move in it, it was so cramped. So the money had been taken out of the patient room and put into the atrium. I looked everywhere in the patient room, and I could go on with story after story after story about what was wrong with it. But I wanted to tell you what was right with it. As I poked my head into the bathroom, the same experts had done everything the same. They'd gotten the mirror right, but all the other faucets and outlets are all out of reach. But they'd used a horizontal drain. I was so pleased with myself for some reason. I didn't know. Maybe they had heard it on YouTube. But, now, here we're talking about this old lady here in bed. You've had time to look at her. You're probably related somewhere. But she needs to watch television, she said to me when I took her picture. And I said, well, I'll go get it for you. She said, I usually have the nursey do that for me. Because with this railing up, I can't reach it. I said, don't tell me about reaching. And so we got the television around for her. And she said, I can't reach my tissues either. But if I could, I don't know where the wastebasket is. Well, you do. You can see it over there in the corner. And if she were able to use the tissues, it was an NBA hook shot to get it into the wastebasket. And she's simply not up to it. Range of motion kind of thing. By now you've seen that the female urinal is on the radiator. Think about it. Don't think about it. On the end of her bed is a male urinal. I didn't circle it and I didn't ask, what's it doing there? This is the state of affairs in a pretty good hospital. In her over-the-bed table, I took a picture of that. And it once had a drawer. You can see the glides for the drawer. And you can see a lot of oily handprints, which is what they are. In the glides, there's some chewing gum growing, green fur. But once you know that 99,000 people lose their lives in hospitals every year because of diseases they catch in the hospital, C. diff for one, we ask ourselves at this point, and I ask myself, can I design furniture, because that's what I do, along with architecture. Can I design furniture that will lessen the chance for infection? That's an oxymoron, furniture, infection. I said, yes, we'll try. Can I design furniture that will lessen falls and lessen the chance for the clinicians to hurt their backs, bending over, putting on brakes on wheelchairs and so on? I said, I think so. So when you see the bottom of this over bed table, and we had just gotten a commission from Stryker, a wonderful company in Michigan, to design some furniture for the hospital room. This was the first one out of the box. So here's the state of affairs in over the bed tables. This is one with lots of bells and whistles. It's like a Lexus. It's got two cup holders, which you can't reach once you're in bed. And it's got a place to hang stuff, more male urinals and so on. And then the top's got a drawer or two. I took it home one night. I got this one. I took it home one night, and I couldn't open the drawers because they hit right here. And so that was a wash. And the thing was so heavy that my 110-pound nurse couldn't move it on the floor. And I have hardwood floors, not carpeted floors. So that wasn't going to work. So I said to myself, this thing has to go on a diet. Maybe we'll do the opposite of what they expect us to do. They expected us to add more bells and whistles. We didn't. What we did was make a kind of slim version of it that works. We made a huge handle at one end so that when your cell phone and your toiletries or whatever, your tissues won't fall off. But the cleaning crew will see that and clean the handle. Now, these guys are not the swiftest in the world, and they're only looking forward to their break time. So they're very fast when they clean a chair. It's like this, I'm done. They make Usain Bolt look like a slow person. That's an inside joke. This over-the-bed table has also another handle at the other end. You can see it in the lower left of the slide, so that the cleaning crew will clean that as well as the top. We only want them to clean the top because this thing moves so effortlessly across the floor. It weighs almost nothing. That anybody can move it. Even that elderly lady could move it across her room if she could stand. On the end of it, you can see this little paddle affair. The one that I took home had a raising and lowering mechanism that you had to stick your hand in a hole and lift up to go down, push down to go up. Not intuitive. So we asked Stryker if we could change that, and they said we could if we didn't change the mechanism. So we turned it upside down. And it works effortlessly. This paddle takes it up with one finger. So we're really pleased with that, and it's now in the market and selling everywhere. People are very pleased to have it, I'm told. Here's we next thought we ought to do someplace to take care of this problem. Well, I can't straighten this person's table every night, but I'm sure I was married to this person once. Not anymore. It's a serious problem. Yeah. But here they've got their candy, the gold box, and they've got today's paper, I guess, and they've got the junk food, and they've got a spit cup with their toothpaste in it, not too inviting, and the tissue where they couldn't find the wastebasket, so it's just hiding under the phone there, and the phone itself. Now, about all we could do is organize this, because everybody's going to have all of these things. So what do you do? Here we made a kind of R2-D2 character, where this top flips up. The gray part of the top actually goes down as well. So it becomes more like a chest of drawers. And this drawer that's open goes both ways because we found that the nurses were pushing this furniture up against the bed because they needed the horizontal surface to write their notes on. And once they put it up against the bed, the drawers wouldn't open. So we made a drawer that would open both ways. So this has no front or back. The back side, the drawer opens the other way and catches in the middle. So that's pretty neat. And the nurses like this because of all things, the wastebasket is handy on the end of the piece of furniture. Whoever thought of putting a piece of furniture, putting a wastebasket on a piece of furniture. That blue box actually goes in that slot above it, and it's got Stryker's name on it and the hospital's name on it. And you put your valuables in that. We're going to make one that has a lock on it. And you can take it home instead of a brown paper bag. You can take this home, and then the hospital puts a new one in the next time because of infection and because they think it's good marketing, I suppose. Off the record, I suppose, the thing that causes most infection in the room is not any of this stuff. It's the TV remote control. So there are people that are now putting a sleeve over the whole thing and making it like your iPhone. So there's just a button that's on the surface that the cleaning crew can clean. I would say, given that they're only $10, put a new one each time. Throw the old ones away. Build the compost heap. I don't care. So here's R2-D2. And here's somebody in my office who's sitting on a Stryker bed with both the overbed table and the bedside table connected so you can have your lunch and your tissues and your cell phone and your computer all at once. Where his left hand is on the overbed table is where we expect you to put it there to put your lunch or your breakfast, your dinner. Because if catering comes in and sees you've got something on that, they walk back out of the room, they don't say anything to you, and they put your dinner at the side of your door and go on to the next room. They're not allowed to touch anything in the room except put the tray down. So these people have to be told that they keep this section clear for their food if they want their food. This woman is asleep on a chair with a blanket on it. And I asked, why the blanket? And it turns out the nurse told me that almost everybody who's convalescing, when they get up from their bed, they take a sheet or a blanket with them and put it on the chair so they don't catch somebody else's cooties. And so she has done so. She said the problem is that when they're in the chair, they perspire. And this isn't too, I'll be a little graphic here, but when they get up, somehow their thighs or their bum takes the blanket with them. And then it drops on the floor. And then the nurse said, and then we have to wash and clean it. And the cycle is never ending. So she said, all because it drops on the floor. So we devised this little handle, which you can use as a handle for a chair, or to put the sheet in like a Swiffer. If you've ever used a Swiffer, you put it in, and then if you want to get it out, you just grab it and it comes right out. But it'll hold the sheet in without ripping it. It's all plastic, so it doesn't have any sharp edges. And so we solved that problem with a 75-cent device. Now, here's the chair that we designed. It doesn't look like a chair you're going to have in your living room necessarily, but it's a chair that that we call the stand assist chair. And by stand assist, I'm really talking about those two protrusions of the arms that come out forward of the chair. The rest of the chair is pretty orthodox. The stool fits underneath, and it comes in various fabrics and so on. But what it does is amazing. This character is, if you read from left to right, is pulling himself up by the stand assist handles and getting to the edge of his chair. And then the next slide, he's looking over his knees, and he's getting into what the therapist calls the position of nose over toes. And if you get your nose over your toes tonight when you go to bed, just sit on the edge of the bed and try that, or a chair. You will be surprised what it does for your stomach. Your torso is doing all the work, and you hardly notice standing up. And here he is now pushing off in the third slide and then standing up. I like this little sequence of 4 pictures because it would run backwards too if you were trying to sit down. The other night I was in a restaurant and an 85-year-old man came in and had had a stroke, and he was feeble. He could hardly walk, and he shoveled over to the table that they'd given him with his equally feeble wife, both very old, and they pulled the chair out and walked away. The maitre d' did. And the guy looked around, and I saw him, and I knew exactly what the problem was. He didn't know how he was going to get from the standing position to a sitting position. And his wife was hell-bent on helping him. She was the greatest. But she would hold his back and his stomach, and he would start to go back. Now, this chair had no handles, no arms on it whatsoever. And he would start to go back, and then he'd let out a little whimper, and she'd stand him up again. And this went on for 10 or 15 minutes. And then finally he said, oh, what the hell? And he just went down with a great plop. What if, when somebody like that comes into the restaurant, they would say, "We've got the chair for you." And they would bring out such a chair. And so the man could assist himself, self-empowered, sit into the chair because the chair does the work for him. Now here's our little family. I didn't explain the one with two tiers, but it's simply another table so that you can separate your flowers and your candy from your paper and your telephone. Maybe that'll help a little bit. But they're the four of those fellows. And for them, we've designed some antimicrobial fabric by C.F. Stinson, which is actually a vinyl product that looks like wool or cotton. It's just it has an amazing feel to it. But we're working on that now to cover this furniture. And lastly, I'd like to show you a chair that I think is here at Medicine X, so you can sit in it and see if we've done our job. But here it is, and it's a chair that is a transport chair. If you're in your bed in your room and you need to go have a CAT scan or an X-ray or an MRI, you're going to get in either a cot or a chair like this, depending on your affliction. And so if you're getting into a chair, what you're getting into now is a chair that was designed in 1933. And the seat is so worn out that you're sitting on the X-frame, which allows it to fold. There's one of them over here in this corner over here. And if you're waiting for your X-ray for 45 minutes to an hour, it's not too comfortable, especially if you have a spinal injury like I do. So I was determined to make a very, very comfortable transfer chair. And so here it is. It too has stand assist handles, not as pronounced as the others. They don't bend back under, but they do the same job. And the foot pedals that flip up and flip out to the side, I'll show you that, so that getting into it, you don't trip on the pedals. Currently, the pedals are down, and if they want them up, then the clinician has to reach down and lift them up. Ours start in the up position, and you can use your feet to put them down. The arms, of course, like these arms, go back so that you can slide into the chair. The handles for the clinician to push you, these are chairs that they don't want you to push yourself. They're going to take you through the hospital. They can push it with one hand and walk beside you, or they can use both hands and walk behind it. It's got the pole for IV, it's got canisters in the back and so on. Now, there are the handles going back. You see them doing that. And back again in starting position. And there are the foot pedals going back. You can see them going back. You make them go back by touching those little yellow buttons with your toe. The clinician does that. And back they go. And then the back of the chair has two pedals, one for stop and one for go. Again, foot operated, so that you're not bending over. Remember what I said about trying to save your back? So you don't bend over to do this. This has got a lot of bells and whistles on it in terms of things you can get for it. You can get a leg mount that allows your leg to go out and be horizontal. It does all that kind of stuff. But each one of those is an add-on because most places don't want all of that on all their chairs. There are the handles in back. I've already explained that to you. All three of those moving parts. And here it is stacking up in the hospital so it doesn't take a lot of space. It turns out that people steal wheelchairs. The reason those red posts are on the wheelchairs in the airports so that you can't get it in your car. Hospitals lose 33% of their wheelchairs every year. Yay. Anyway, they replace them with the 1933 model now. And we want them to replace them with these. And we'll let the IV pole be the guard against putting them in the car. But if you roll yourself out with your newborn, let's say, to the car, which you're required to do, and you get into the car, the clinician should take the chair back. But sometimes the clinician's busy, and they say, well, you can find your car. And then the chair goes with them. We don't think these chairs will go with them because of the IV pole, and it's pretty obvious that you're taking a piece of the furniture, not your own chair. Here's the family of Stryker. Stryker makes the greatest cots. If somebody in the NFL gets hurt during a game, it's that cot that rolls out on the field that is a Stryker cot, and it's the leading cot in the industry. It's really terrific. We had the job of making our furniture work with the Stryker line of furniture, their bed and other things. And so here are 4 of our pieces with the cot and the Stryker bed. And finally, there's my idea of the hospital room with the chair and the overbed table, and if things aren't going right, you can always escape to Tuscany in the picture. And with that, I thank you.